there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. The Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
Hey everyone, this is Aaron from Mental Cavity, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. The Bod Father, and as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome Aaron Osborne of Mental Cavity. Australian hardcore metal quartet Mental Cavity has released their third full-length album via Creator-Destructor Records. Also, check out singles Fractured, Anvil, and The Portal. And we're going to be talking to Aaron about all this good stuff. And they did a cover of one of the bands that I actually like a lot. And we're going to be talking about all this stuff. So, Aaron, welcome to the podcast, man. How you doing?
Doing well, mate. Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Not a problem whatsoever. So, are you still restricted on being able to tour or do any shows right now over in Australia?
We're a little bit restricted here. It's a bit, I guess it's a bit different to what it's like over in the States at the minute. I think we've had a really, I guess our government has done a really bad job of rolling out the vaccine. So we, like most of us, aren't vaccinated here yet. So we can't really, states and borders and things like that keep closing every time there's big outbreaks in cases. So I've played a couple shows. Mental Cavity hasn't played a show yet, but I've played some shows in my other bands, but tours are getting cancelled still and things like that when there's little outbreaks. So Mental Cavity hasn't played yet since, we've had a band practice, but other than that, we haven't played a show in start of 2020, in January 2020. So it's been a long time for us, yeah.
Any rush getting back together with the band, getting all these songs back down, Pat?
Oh, yeah, big time. I should have been practicing guitar way more than I did during the last year, but no, it's been fun. We had a practice a couple of weeks ago. Everyone in the band lives in Canberra, which is the capital city in Australia, but I live in Melbourne, which is another city. So I sort of do everything via the internet with them. And I went to Canberra a couple of weeks ago and had a practice, and it was, one of those things where the four of us just stood around trying to show each other how songs went again. So it was pretty funny.
With COVID and the lockdown, did this allow the band the extra time to create this album for you guys? Did it allow you to just take your time on it?
Yeah, for sure. I guess with all of our records, everyone has, or someone from the band has kind of taken the lead on most of the writing duties. And for this record, our drummer actually wrote all of the songs on guitar. So he was sort of impacted even more by COVID because he just moved overseas to Indonesia with his partner, and they got locked down straight away. So he basically spent 3 months or so writing all these riffs, and then they got shipped back to Australia by her work. And when he came back here, he pretty much immediately, started showing the other guys the songs, and they started jamming and working on them and stuff like that. And they sent the demos across to me, and I started working on the lyrics and the vocals and stuff. So we sort of worked on it way more than we previously would. Previously, we would just jam and get the songs down and then go record the record, whereas this time we worked through them for quite a long time. And then the additional part that was a bit different for us was we recorded everything ourselves this time. So obviously that took a lot longer too, because we sort of had to learn how to do it all and, get it sounding better than a demo, I suppose. So yeah, it was a lot more effort was put in from our end on the overall product than probably previously.
This is Mental Cavity's third full-length album. How does it feel to have a new album in your guys' music library? Because you know this just as well as I do, man. You've been in other bands. Some of these bands only get like an EP out and they're done, Aaron. And you know it just as well as I do. They don't get to see 3 albums, let alone several years down the road with a band. So how does this feel to actually overcome all this, you know, COVID shit, and plus now having a third album out for Mental Cavity?
Feels awesome. I mean, I think the thing for me is, like, regardless of what I do in my life, I'm always going to end up playing music in one way or another. And I think the best thing about playing with these guys, I mean, well, 3 of us used to be in a band called I Exist together, and we, you know, we put out a bunch of records and stuff like that. And the thing for us is that 3 of us particularly just want to keep doing music. You know, we want to keep pushing it. We want to keep playing in bands. We want to keep putting out records. And, you know, at the end of the day, we do this for us. And, you know, we really appreciate when people like it and when people pay attention to it. But, you know, I'd probably still be putting out records even if no one listened to them. You know, I just record them and get, you know, I'd put it out myself if I needed to get it out there. But yeah, it feels great, and it feels awesome that we were still able to do it during the lockdown period, and it was really cool that you know, Creator-Destructor were interested in it and keen to put it out, because this is, you know, the first record that's properly, I guess, been released internationally for Mental Cavity. So that's really cool for us too.
Were these songs that had been previously written, or are these brand new songs on this full-length album?
They're all brand new. I mean, I don't really know Murph, our drummer. I don't really know if maybe he had them in mind earlier, but certainly I only heard them, you know, once we'd all sort of been locked down, and he basically sent us a Dropbox link, and it was just like, here, I wrote some songs, and it was 10 songs. Like, it was a good set of riffs to listen to, for sure.
I want to touch on this just for a little bit, because you said something very interesting. You said this is the first album that's got any international play over here, like over in the States. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, for Mental Cavity, I mean, everything's available digitally, obviously, but it's the first, I guess, the first release for Mental Cavity that had an international label be present as part of it. I mean, we had on our last record, Neurosiege, a little tape distributor out of Canada put that out for us on tape, and the first thing we had came out on tape overseas as well, but this is the first proper thing where there's, you know, an LP, a tape, there's, you know, some press for it and things like that. You know, it's the first thing for Mental Cavity overseas in this sort of fashion. Do you feel like Mental Cavity should have had some others international, you know, exposure other than just now? I mean, if that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved it. I mean, our I Exist, our old band was our records came out on Prosthetic Records overseas, so we had a bit of you know, I suppose a bit more of attention over there, and we did a tour in Europe and a lot of tours in Australia with international bands, so we had a bit more of a profile. But I think something that's sort of challenging for any band is when, you know, one band finishes and the next one starts. It takes a little while for it to build up. And I think most bands would maybe wait until they got that profile to put out music. But we just like playing, you know, we like playing music and writing songs. And my view on things like putting out records is like taking it from like the Pantera book, where they put out like 4 albums before Cowboys from Hell. Like, no one knew who they were. Oh, yeah. But you know, they had 4 records. So that's my sort of outlook on it, is like, I can put out 4 records, hopefully by the 5th one someone pays attention, you know? God, I remember those albums. Wasn't one called Magic, something, Metal Magic, I think. Metal Magic. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that, you know, Phil's not the original singer of Pantera. So, yeah. But when he came in, he was like, and I'm going to say this, and I mean this with respect, and Aaron can vouch me on this as well. Phil was pre-glam, wasn't he, Aaron, when he came into the band? Yeah, big time. Yeah. So, but it's like whatever clicked in them, man, they kicked the fucking door down for metal. That's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
The single The Portal was based on the short story The Merchant and the Alchemist's Gate by Ted, I hope I said his last name correct, Chiang, of sci-fi fantasy. How did this short story inspire the song The Portal? What was that kick for you to say, I want to do something on and do some sci-fi possibly? I'm
like a big dork for sci-fi movies, and I mean, I'm not a too accomplished reader, I would say, as I am a teacher, but I'm really shit at reading. So, I'm really good at reading short stories, and this author writes good short stories, and they're sci-fi, so I can get into them. He's written a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of like compilation books of his work, and this one in particular is I think it's quite a popular story of his, and I don't know, just all his stories kind of fit in, the sci-fi realm, but all sci-fi things always have like a bit of some like moral aspect to them, and I guess the moral aspect of this one kind of tied in with some stuff I've been thinking about for lyrics anyway. I mean, essentially this story is about a person who becomes too greedy and wants more than they can get. So instead of, working for it, they find a cheap way to get to it. And it like kind of just aligned with some of the other lyrical themes I was thinking of for the record. And so I kind of just adapted my version of what happens in that story into lyrics for the Portal. But yeah, it's, I've actually written, there's like a song on one of our last records called Steering Wire, which is on our record in Euroseed, is inspired by another one of his short stories as well. So I've done my bit in honoring him in lyrics.
As a band, were you guys a little nervous releasing this album right now, since bands can hardly tour right now or do anything? Did you think about doing a live stream for this album?
I mean, I think the reality for us was because our drummer was moving overseas. Well, he did move overseas, and we played a couple of shows with a fill-in drummer, and then we recorded this. We were kind of always destined. I think even if COVID wasn't happening, we would have been destined to be doing things a bit differently than we would have intentioned to anyway. But so I don't think we were sort of nervous in that aspect. Like we would have figured something out. And then obviously when it became, I guess, visible that we weren't, like no one was able to do anything, I think initially I was a bit worried about putting it out, worried whether people wouldn't like it or not. But then I don't know what it's been like for you, but for me, like the last year, bands putting out new music has been like one of the things that's been getting me through COVID. Like it's exciting hearing new records, and even though I can't see the bands live and engage with it in that way, like having new music coming out and having stuff to listen to is still, really important. So as I just felt, if I felt that was important, I hoped other people did too. And it seems like, it's getting responded to well. And I guess now we just sort of hope from here that we can get back into it soon, and start doing it.
I know a lot of bands put stuff out, just like you said, but I'm very interested in seeing where these guys' minds were at during COVID when they have music still stored away. And I've heard them tell me they've got stuff stored for 2 to 3 albums, and that blows my mind. I'm going, what the hell, really? Yeah. And I'm just anxious to listen to one of these albums that come out, say, like 2 years from now, to see where their minds were back in COVID, or even if they put it out, because they could be in a different mindset at that time.
Yeah, for sure.
What's impressed or excited you the most about making this new album, if anything? What's excited you about making Mass Rebel Infest?
I think the big thing for me was, I guess the band has sort of it's progressed pretty, I guess, quickly as we've been putting records out. I mean, we put out a record every 2 years basically since we started, and I guess when the band started, it was far more of kind of like the hardcore, crusty punk side of what we set out to do. And over the last couple years, it's just sort of progressed more and more towards, I guess, the death metal, more metal realm, which is where my music taste lies more. So that's, it's been positive for me. But also, I guess that's what I've kind of always seen this band as, and where I've seen the band go lyrically and vocally. And I mean, when we started the band, I was more just like yelling basically. And now we've kind of, myself and Alex, who does most of the other singing on the records, I feel like we've now kind of found our voices better. Because neither of us were singers before this band. Like we both did backing vocals in I Exist, our old band, but like neither of us sort of ever took the lead singing. So this band has kind of been like a learning process for us in terms of that. So I think that was sort of like the most exciting thing for me. And because I don't live in the same city as the other guys, I didn't, like, while I'm the guitar player in the band, I didn't play guitar on this record at all. I just sang on it. For me, this record was all about the singing and the lyrics and things like that. So it was exciting for me to do that differently. And I recorded the vocals all myself at home. So it was cool learning how to do that, and I guess trying to get good at that. So, that was sort of the most exciting thing to me, was how we sort of pieced it all together. And then my friend Taylor, who plays in Switching Tongues and God Tate and Severe Nails and stuff like that, he mixed it for us. And the next exciting part was sending him this product that we put together and getting him to put his spin on it. And obviously what you hear is, the awesome work that he did more than anything. So it was a really cool process for me, just putting it all together.
So you actually singing on this album, did that push you out of your box? Was you more comfortable in singing now on a record?
Yeah, I've gotten better at it over the last couple of years. The last few records, I was feeling more comfortable, but this one I think I felt the most comfortable because, I was doing it myself in my house. I was just, yelling in my old apartment. So it was a lot different, but it's something I've become a lot more accustomed to now, and I feel pretty comfortable with.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on the album? I know much change every time you listen to it. I know these are your babies, but are there any that stick out for you personally, other than possibly The Portal?
I really like the song Downtrodden. I think that song might be my favorite one. I think it just has the most different, like, mental cavity type part to me. Like, it's got slow riff, it's got fast riff, it's got, crazy guitar soloing, it's got all the singing at different points. Yeah, that's sort of my favorite song. I think because throughout that song, it finds the most different sections that represent the different parts of the band, I guess.
Was there a song that you guys are working on that totally ended up sounding different than it was intended to, that was brought to the table? Was there one that just took a major turn that you just didn't see coming and sounded even better when it did that? Yeah,
I think the first track is called Entered Awoke. That one was a bit, to me, when I first heard the demo of it, it seemed to me like maybe it wouldn't be like the best song on the record. Like it was good, but maybe just not like the best. But then after I figured out the singing, and we got a friend of ours, Josh, to play guitar on it, and he did a solo, and like once it was all recorded properly, I guess I could hear the scope of the song better. And it ended up being, like we were all really stoked on it, and that's why we put it as the first song on the record. Like it was like an awesome opening track, we thought. So that one definitely surprised me. I think like it wasn't, when I first heard it, I didn't think it would have maybe been like a bit deeper in the album, but then after we finished doing everything to it, it was like, yeah, this is a ripper. We got to have this up the front.
Now, the band did covers of one of my favorite bands, the Cro-Mags song, It's the Limit, and Disrupt's Mind Lock. What was the mindset of putting these on here? And did you want to put covers on here, or did it just end up happening that way?
I think this, for us, like in our old band, in I Exist, we used to do covers all the time, like every band does, but like I Exist we recorded like 2 covers maybe the whole time we were a band, and both of them were kind of like, we put them out, but we never really played them live. Like we just recorded them. And when we started Mental Cavity, we kind of thought like, oh, we should play covers live. I always like seeing bands do covers, and I think it's cool when they put their own spin on them and things like that. So for the last couple of years, we've been covering an Autopsy song, and we recorded that a little while ago, but we haven't done anything with it. But so for this one, we kind of thought like, let's put some covers on it. The record's pretty short anyway. Let's put some covers on it, and hopefully it gives people a bit more of an idea of the type of stuff that we like and the influence that we have. And I guess given that we'd previously done a death metal cover, we thought on this one like, all right, well, let's do like a hardcore song and a crusty punk song, and that'll sort of represent the different types of things that we like doing. And those two songs kind of, I think, fit in well with the scope of the music that is on this record. Like they sort of align a little bit with the other songs on it. So yeah, we just thought they were cool. We could do something different with them and tack them on there, and might give people something else to listen to, I suppose.
Now, you guys produced this album. However, it was mixed by Taylor Young and mastered by Brad Boatwright. How was working with those gentlemen on this to get this perfect?
Great. I mean, all of us been friends with Taylor for a long time now. Our old band toured with Switching Tongues, his band, years ago, and we just stayed friends. And I was actually in the US in 2019 with some friends of mine who play in a band called Harm's Way, and then I went and stayed at his house for a couple of days, and I was just talking to him about hopefully getting him to mix something for us in the future, because we'd never done something properly with him before. And when it came to the point that we needed to record this ourselves, we knew that we needed to get someone to mix it who, would be happy to take the raw recordings and sort of work with it a little bit and help us, I guess, build something out of it. So I talked with him throughout the entire process and basically got his advice on the type of mics we should use and how we should record stuff so that we could send it to him. So he was really helpful in that aspect. And then, we sent it off to him and he reamped some of the guitars and fucked around with it a bit to make it sound, as good as he could. And then obviously did the job mixing on it, and it came out awesome. So it was really great working with him, because we've been friends for such a long time, and it was really fun to do that together. And, obviously being apart and not being able to do it, it was relatively easy to do it with someone from America, because even if it was someone from Australia, we would have still had to email it to them and do it all over the internet anyway. So it was just as easy to do it with him. And then Brad has mastered almost everything that I've recorded for the last, 5 or 6 years, maybe longer. And everything he does sounds amazing once he does the mastering job on it. So for me, he's just a no-brainer to go to for music like this at this point. Like, he makes it sound so heavy and so full. So every time I can do something, I send it to him, basically.
Would you say, in your own opinion, that by incorporating some punk into the band's sound, that the band has grown some? Is this kind of like to push it outside that box, to mix like a blender full of style with it, possibly?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I think the thing for us is, like, we're all people that come from different backgrounds in music. Like, I mean, myself and Rohan, who play guitar, we both kind of come more from metal, I suppose, and Alex and Murph come from punk bands. So, I mean, the reality for us is, like, it's inevitably always going to sound a bit blended and a bit different because of the influence that we come from. And for me, I've never really ever been in a band that is just like, okay, it's this style band, that's what we're doing. I've always I like the bands that come from a blended background, and I like bands that have a weird side to them and do something different here and there. So it's just sort of natural for us. But yeah, I mean, I hope that the different influences that are present in this music, allows different people to engage with it,
Aaron, what do you hope everyone takes away, or message you hope they hear while listening to any Mental Cavities music in general? What do you hope they get from it, man, once they start to listen to it?
Well, I hope they want to nod their head along to it. I hope they dig it. But I mean, I think the thing for me is like, I hope they hear the influence of other bands in it, and it encourages people to check out, you know, different things. I think that's what I like when I listen to bands. Like I like listening to a record and being like inspired then to put something else on, or to check out a different band from, you know, like us, we're from Australia. Obviously there's a lot of bands in Australia that influence us. So, you know, hopefully it inspires people to check out some other bands from Australia, or it spirals into people checking out some more death metal or some more older crust punk, or, you know, if someone's never heard these surprises they didn't, but if someone has never heard the Cro-Mag, go listen to Cro-Mags after it. Maybe they'll listen to Disrupt after it. You know, like I hope that's where it's sparking more stuff there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And folks, there's other bands in Australia other than Silverchair. So
yeah, 100%. Many more.
Which I love Silverchair, but there's more bands in Australia other than Silverchair. So what made you want to become a musician, Aaron? What was that spark for you, man, that said, yeah, I want to try this?
Well, I was a pretty shy kid when I was younger, and I was like a lot of kids, sort of pushed into playing music. Like my mum thought it would be a good idea for me to play piano, and you know, that obviously went very well because now I play guitar in a death metal-y type band. But you know, like mum sort of put it into myself and my sisters that music was a good thing to do. So it was something that was always sort of happening. And then when I was in high school and I started playing in bands properly, it was like a good way to make friends. And, you know, I got a lot out of playing shows. I got so excited by it. It brought me out of my shell. I think it gave me a lot of confidence and helped me, you know, in honestly every other aspect of my life came from, you know, the confidence and the encouragement that was brought on by playing music live and, you know, interacting with people and working with people and making music and things like that. So that was sort of the early drive. And then, you know, as an adult, it's been really awesome to have a creative pursuit that's outside of work or that's outside of, you know, your personal life or whatever, having this, you know, for lack of a better word, having this hobby that you know, has been so fulfilling, has been something that's just amazing and something that I'll never stop doing, you know.
It's the greatest thing, and I'm glad you said that, man. Finally a musician has actually admitted that, and I'm so glad you said that, because music, man, it is like an outlet for all of us who feel like we're outcasts or we're weird or nobody loves us. You know, it makes us feel like we're accepted and that, you know, people do care for us, and they are people who actually know what we're going through. And it's cool that it's just a world of acceptance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you had a lot of music growing up, and I know you have a lot of music today as an adult, but do you find yourself going back to just one album or just one song that gives you inspiration or just allows you to escape? Do you find yourself going back to listen to just one album possibly that you just have to have sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably quite a few, I would say. I mean, I think I had got to my favorite band. They have been, you know, since I was a teenager at this point. And I mean, their record, Take As Needed for Pain, is like, I can always find something in that inspires me to do something. So I would say that's the big one for me. Take As Needed for Pain by I Hate God. It's like, I can put it on whenever and find a way to inspire myself, even if it's something as much as like, while it doesn't sound like Mental Cavity, at the same time, like, I can find influence in that to push me to do something with Mental Cavity. You know?
Folks, you want to get out and pick up Mental Cavity's third full-length album, Mass Rebel Infest, via Creator-Destructor Records. Aaron, my friend, how can folks stay in touch with you all? Buy this album, buy some merchandise, stay in touch with you guys, just say, hey, man, what's up? How can they do that, good sir?
You can check out our Bandcamp, which is mentalcavity.bandcamp.com, or check us out on Instagram or Facebook. All the links for everything are there, and that's how we interact with people. You'll be talking to me, and yeah, we'll hopefully get some more stuff out soon, so people can keep checking us out, and hopefully at some point in the near future we can come to America when we get vaccinated. Hopefully.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Before I let you go, Aaron, would you care to do a promo for the show?
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey everyone, this is Aaron from Mental Cavity, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour Podcast. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link. You definitely want to subscribe to the YouTube page because we got a lot of stuff that's coming up and some giveaways as well. But you won't know unless you subscribe, so subscribe. Also, get out and check out Mental Cavity's third full-length album that is entitled Mass Rebel Infest via Creator-Destructor Records, and that's out right now. And you also want to check out their singles, Fractured Anvil and The Portal. Also, please, folks, give this band a chance for me and for them as well because they do a good job. So, Aaron, wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, and you're welcome on here anytime.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.